Mason City, Iowa, a town of about 30,000. It is the big city among a lot of rural communities in north central Iowa. It didn't really stand out that it was a place where you didn't want to go.
They use that word a lot, closure, and for Jodi's family, I can't believe there's any such thing.
No suspects, no body.
She's in your living room every morning.
She was apparently dragged away from the scene to another vehicle and taken away.
At that point, it's a race against time before an abduction becomes a homicide.
It was a crime that shocked that quiet community, a quiet street.
Strangulation.
Investigators won't tell us many details.
Good evening, I'm Brian Mastre. This is where it all began for me, KIMT in Mason City, Iowa.
Can you just say and spell your name, Brian?
Yes, Brian Mastre.
Great. Can you tell us a little bit about Jodi Huisentruit?
Jodi Huisentruit was born in Long Prairie, Minnesota. She worked in Alexandria, Minnesota before she got her job as the morning anchor at KIMT in Mason City, Iowa. She was the life of the party, just bubbly, kind of the one that gives you a spark if you're down. Jodi was an accomplished golfer, and she was always the go-to person when the TV station would have golf outings. After she graduated from college, she got the job in Mason City, which allowed her to do the morning news. She could be on every single day in the morning hours. We weren't real close friends because I was the evening anchor, she was the morning anchor, so we would cross paths now and then. Jodi would usually show up around 4 a.m. Tuesday, June 27th, 1995. Jodi wasn't there, and so an associate producer, Amy Coons, calls Jodi at her apartment. Jodi it sounded as though she had just woke up and told Amy, okay, I'm getting around, I'll be in. So then the time passes. It's now 4:30, it's now 5. Amy, I'm assuming, always thought, well, Jodi probably just fell back asleep. Jodi not coming in right on time wasn't necessarily unusual from talking to the people who worked in the morning. She wasn't always right on time. Show starts at 6 o'clock without Jodi, and so it was just a few minutes after 7 o'clock, right after she had gotten off the air. Amy Coons calls Mason City Police for a welfare check. We're thinking Jodi probably fell back asleep, was at a golf tournament the night before, maybe stayed up too late, and Mason City Police will go to the apartment, knock on Jodi's door, and they'll find her inside.
Police, open the door. Ma'am?
But they didn't. I remember it well. Tuesday, June 27th, 1995. Early morning, I get a call that says Jodi's missing.
I was an evening news anchor, a little bit older than her at the time, and I'll tell you what, when we heard that she had been gone missing, myself and a lot of other people in television business in the area, it was scary. It was like a kick in the gut.
She lived in the Key Apartments, which is maybe a 5-minute drive from KIMT. 3 neighbors that apparently heard screams that morning, and none of them are able to really give an indicator about what those screams were about. As we started to hear more and more of what happened, you got a sense that this is awful, and I don't know how this is going to turn out good. Mason City Police found Jodi's car in the parking lot of the apartment complex. It was maybe 20 feet, 25 feet from the front door.
They did find her car in the parking lot, and her key had been found bent.
If you see that scattered, a key bent in her fairly new car, there's a palm print on the car, there's a struggle. She's been abducted. She's probably still alive. There's a 3-hour window in between the phone call and the welfare check. And that's a lot of time for somebody to do something and get away. At that point, it's a race against time. before an abduction becomes a homicide. A witness saw a white van in the Key apartment parking lot, and that had to make investigators' heads spin, because if you're looking for a white van, there are so many white vans out there. Anyone who had one suddenly was under the prying eyes of investigators. The search for Jodi was immediate. The response was overwhelming. I mean, she's in your living room every morning in Mason City and the surrounding communities. People feel as though they know you, and so everybody wanted to help. You had ATVs, you had dogs, you had psychics. You had so many people looking just to see if they could find clues. So the summer of '95, there would be a news conference every day, and we would carry it live on KIMT from beginning to end.
Nor has anything led us to a specific location where Jodi might be found. That may be something that we'll take another look at.
You're reminded constantly when you walk through the newsroom, there's her desk, she's not at her desk. You turn on the morning news, she's not there. We all just wanted to get some sort of an answer that could help figure out what happened. We wore ribbons on our lapels. That was at least a reminder that we were still thinking about it.
Her colleagues wore white ribbons dotted with a jewel, symbolic statement that Huisentruit is in their thoughts and prayers.
Investigators start to zero in on someone who was with Jodi the night before. They knew that she had been with a friend, 20 years her senior, John Van Cise.
John Van Cise is considerably older than her, recently divorced and moved to Mason City. They had spent a lot of time together. 2 weeks prior to her disappearance, John had had a birthday party for her to celebrate her 27th birthday.
It seems as though he was the last one to see Jodi alive. John Van Cise came up as clearly a person of interest because it seems as though he was the last one to see Jodi alive. I know he called TV stations after he said he passed a lie detector test to celebrate, which seemed odd. John Van Cise has always been described as a person of interest, but never more than that. Never been named a suspect.
I do believe the Mason City Police Department was in over their heads at the time. I am not saying that to disparage them in any way. The FBI came in for a while, as did the Department of Criminal Investigation, the DCI in Iowa. Leads were apparently followed up on, but nothing really has ever come to fruition.
For me, reporting on Jodi's disappearance, the more time that passed, you just knew she wasn't alive. On May 15th, 2001, Jodi Huisentruit is legally dead. That would have been 6 years had passed already. And so I think a lot of us were already resigned to the fact that she was dead. I talked to Jodi's family often in the early years. Later on, maybe a phone call, maybe an email. Once a year, maybe around the anniversary. Jodi's mom, who was in Mason City a lot during the investigation, she died. I always felt for her because it was like you just wanted for her to at least know the answers, and she never got the answers. Maybe somebody will come forward on their deathbed and give that key piece of information that says where Jodi is and what exactly happened to her. But you gotta at least think that there is that chance.